Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to do a re-recording of the Hangout I've done several times over the past few weeks. For some reason, my recordings keep getting messed up, so I'm going to do one just with me so there won't be any interaction with the audience because there's no audience. So tonight we're going to talk about how to define your video strategy so you can start using video to grow your business. And normally, when I do this Hangout, I ask how many people in the audience have watched a video online in the past week. And usually everybody in the audience has done so. And then I ask how many have posted a video in the past week. And usually that's a pretty small percentage, maybe just a few people in the audience even, or certainly less than 10%. So if you happen to be someone who's posted a video in the past week, congratulations, you're ahead of the game. But then the other question is, have you posted any other content in the past week? Maybe a blog post or an article or information on one of the social media platforms, something about your business. And most people have done that in the past week, but somehow they're not getting around yet to sharing that content in video form. So one of the purposes of this webinar is to help you start figuring out the best way that you can change that so that you are sharing more of your content in video form. Here's our agenda. First, we're going to look at why should you be using video? Why is it so important that you include video in the mix of your content? Then we'll look at what goals you might have for using videos, for using video in general and for specific videos. We'll look at a variety of choices that you have to consider that are all affected by your goals that you have for your videos. And they all are part of what you have to consider as you put your video strategy together. And finally, the last 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to make an offer for you about a way that you can get some more help with planning your video strategy and getting started actually creating your first video. Or if you're one of those lucky people that have already done at least some videos, then it might not be your first video, but your next video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Susan Joy Schlief, and I have been running a business online for a couple years now. It's growing slowly. I still have a full-time job, so it's a part-time thing for me. And I started out offering presentation services. And it was a funny thing. When I would tell people that I created slide presentations, they would often ask, do you do video as well? And I kept saying, well, I do a little bit for myself, but it's not really my area of expertise. And then one day I realized, I don't know why I keep saying that. In my full-time job, I work for a large nonprofit, have for almost 15 years now. And over that time, half of that time I've been there, I've been creating training videos. The last 3 years, that's been the majority of my job, has been to create and edit training videos. So I certainly have experience with video, and I had to realize I was having the same kind of blocks around video that many other people have, where when somebody would say, do you do video? I was thinking, oh, they mean the big splashy Hollywood production kind of video that a speaker might show when they're coming on stage. And I knew I didn't do that. It's not really what I was interested in doing. But I had to start thinking there are a lot of different ways that people use video, and I certainly have the training and the experience to do those. So I started looking at how can I make use of all of this experience I have creating and editing training videos. I have probably 1,000 hours of video editing experience over the last several years. So I started looking at shifting my business, created a new division of services that I'm offering that I call M3 videos. The M3 is for message, media, and magic. So part of that process is also helping people to look at why haven't you started using video yet, and what can I help you do to get past that hurdle. And that's what tonight's all about. So why is it that you really should be using video? Why am I trying to convince you of that? I have some statistics to share with you that hopefully will impress you. The first reason you should be doing it is because it's what your audience wants. People really do prefer video content. The majority of people do. Not everybody, but most people would rather watch a video than read an article. And the popularity of video just continues to grow. 61% of Americans regularly watch internet videos. This statistic amazed me. This is just from January of this year, 2014. 190 million Americans watched 75 billion videos. That is a lot of videos. And 36% of the videos they're watching are actually advertisements, and people are still willing to watch them if they're good videos. And this is really important for you to hear. Right now, about 60% of the data and information that's being passed around the world on the internet is in video form already. 60% is already a pretty big percentage. But experts are predicting that in the next few years that's going to grow to 90%. When we get to that point, if you don't have videos online to promote your business, you're going to be left behind. 90% of the content, they're saying, is going to be in video form. Now, I've heard a number of people refer to this statistic. Some people have given a reference for it, others do not. The one who did give a reference said that this comes from Cisco Systems. To me, it's not so important where it came from or whether it's going to happen in 2014 or 2017 or whatever year. Different people are giving different target dates. To me, what's important is this really emphasizes how much video is growing in popularity and how it's taking over the internet. And to me, that means we can't afford to ignore video any longer. It's really that important that it has to be part of your content portfolio. And another reason to be using video is what I call triple-decker communication. Or, since it's summer and hot here, and maybe where you are as well, we could call it triple-scoop communication. What that means is we're bringing information in when we watch a video on 3 different channels in our brain. One of the channels is verbal, and that is either spoken or printed words, but it's words, definitely. That's how you really are clear about your message, right? Is in the words that you use in your video. Whether you speak them or have them on the screen, it's still verbal information that comes into the brain through the verbal channel. Another channel that's part of video is visual, and that means pictures. It does not include printed words. It includes pictures, images. And then the third mode of communication in a video is movement, motion, or action. And video is unique here in that it offers movement happening on the video screen, and movement catches our brain's attention always. If we can see movement happening, our brain focuses on it because there might be something important happening when that movement occurs. And this is an old thing. You know, our brains have been doing this for millions of years. We would watch for something moving out of the corner of our eye and have to take a look and see whether it was something dangerous or not. So our brains are still wired that way. And it's one of the reasons that video is so effective, is because that movement does get people's attention. Now, I'm sure you can think of videos you've seen that didn't include enough visuals, enough pictures and images, or they didn't include enough movement. So it's important to realize when you're making your videos that you want to be sure to take advantage of all 3 of those channels of communication. But when you do, video really can't be beat for the power of communication. The only other forms really that could compete would be a live drama on stage or a television show, and neither of those are likely to be part of your marketing mix. But for the average internet marketer or somebody who runs a business and is marketing online, video is the way to go to get the most information across in 3 channels And what that does using multi-channel communication is it helps people understand the message better at the time, and it also helps them remember it longer. So other reasons to use video: to generate more leads and more conversions. Video is actually very good at both of those tasks, and both of those tasks are really critical for any business, right? They're two fundamental things that a business needs: traffic and conversion, right? And video is very good at both. Some stats to indicate that. Visitors who view product videos are 85% more likely to purchase. I do have the statistic sources for these, but I did not put them in the video. So if you're interested in finding out where these stats came from, you can contact me and I will email you back with that information. 85% more likely to purchase if you've watched a product video first. And then this is specifically for retail site visitors. Those that watched a video, first of all, stayed 2 minutes longer on the website. And you probably know that's very important for helping your website rank higher, is to have people stay on the website instead of just looking for 5 seconds and bouncing off again. But in addition to staying longer, those visitors who watched the videos also are 64% more likely to purchase, according to this study of retail site visitors. And again, I can give you that source if you're interested. So let's look at some goals for video. We've already just said that one of the things that video is really good at, or two things that it's good at, is getting traffic and converting the traffic. So those are two good goals, right? But there are other ways to use video as well. Lead generation. Another very common way of using video is to actually deliver your product. If you have an information product or maybe multiple information products that you're selling online, delivering those products in video form makes them much more appealing to your potential buyers. You may have other goals that you want to use video for, but these are really three of the most popular reasons for using video. And what are some other choices that we need to consider as we put together a video strategy? Well, one is the method that we're going to use to create our videos. We can sort of divide video making methods into two broad categories. One is camera videos, and the other is everything that's not a camera, right? All the other ways of making video that don't use a camera. But even within that, we can break them down. Camera videos, there are several choices you have. You can buy, or maybe you already have, a fancy DSLR camera that shoots video, or you might have a camcorder that you want to use. You could also hire a videographer to either come into your office or your place of work and record a video of you there, or you could go to their studio and have them record a video. All those methods that we've mentioned so far can be expensive, but fortunately there are some inexpensive options as well. One is more and more common these days, to use a smartphone. The quality of video recording on most smartphones has just continued to improve. And I've seen a lot of really professional level videographers and photographers say online now, say that they're using their iPhone or their iPad in some cases to record most of their videos now, because it's just so much easier to carry it with them and record anywhere. So a smartphone is definitely a good option. And another option, if you don't have a smartphone, is to use a webcam. The quality is going to be a little different there because the lens on a webcam is very wide angle, so it's going to produce a little bit different look than on an iPhone. But if that's all you have, you can certainly use it. Now, what if you don't want to be on camera? You do have a lot of other options for making videos with various kinds of software. One type of video you can make is what's called a screen capture video, where you use different kinds of software available to record what's happening on your screen. Maybe you want to show a demonstration of a particular kind of software that you sell, or a plugin that you sell for WordPress. Or maybe you teach people how to do certain techniques on one of the social media platforms and you want to give a demonstration of that. All of those are options that you can record using a number of different programs that are available. So screen capture videos, some kind of a demonstration or tutorial, usually those are used for. And another option is animations, whiteboard drawings, doodle drawings, or sketch videos they're called sometimes. Another specific type of animation is what's called a kinetic typography, where the text is moving around on the screen. Those can be very engaging. Cartoon kind of animations, like sites like Animoto or Powtoon. There's a new program that came out recently called Video Maker FX, it's not web-based, which a majority of them are, but Video Maker FX you actually install on your own computer. It's very inexpensive and very easy to learn. New software continues to be created all the time for different video options. Another that I didn't mention is using PowerPoint to make a video. In fact, the newer versions of PowerPoint, 2010 and above, you don't even need to use a program to convert it to video. Once you've created your slides, right as you save it, you can save it as a video. And you can add an audio track to it as well. So you have narration with your slides and then just save the whole output as a video. You don't even need any other software. Now, I do have some ways to teach that where you want to make sure, like we talked about earlier, that you're not just using a typical boring bullet point set of slides and reading a bunch of text to people. That's not going to make a very engaging video. You want to make sure that you're using a lot of visual images. You may want to use some animations as well. Fortunately, there are templates you can buy that have the animations already built into them that makes that easier so that you get that motion element in there that we talked about earlier. So as you can see, there are a lot of different methods of making video, and which one you want to choose may depend partly on the goals you set for your video. And it will depend on the tools you have available, whether you want to use camera, whether you want to use software. Some other choices that you have to look at, the distribution platform where you're going to share your videos. Now, if you're using a video to generate leads, draw traffic to your website, then you definitely want to be posting it on YouTube, but there may be other places that you want to share it as well. And if it's not a lead generation video, then YouTube may not be the best place for it. Maybe you want to share it in different places. There are other sites that share video. Vimeo is one that seems to be more popular with large corporations, but there's no reason that a small business couldn't use it. Another choice is if you're using video to deliver a paid product, like we mentioned earlier, then you probably don't want it on YouTube. Yes, I know there are ways to hide it from the public, but I think it's still probably safer to put those paid videos on something like an Amazon S3 server and then use a video player on your website where you're going to only send the link for that website to the people who have paid for that course that you're delivering on video. So again, there are different platforms and different video players to use on different platforms, and those all have to be considered in your strategy. Video styles, we already sort of touched briefly on this when we talked about the video making methods. You know, we mentioned kinetic typography and cartoon videos, animated videos, the whiteboard sketch videos. Those are some styles. There are many different styles that you can use. One option, for instance, if you're doing a PowerPoint video and you have a lot of large, like stock photos that you want to include in there, you can use a technique that people refer to as the Ken Burns effect, based on the videos that he did for PBS, where he uses still photos but pans across them, zooms in and out slowly, and that technique can be done with an online video editor very easily. So again, there are a lot of different styles that can be used. There's even, some people still like to use it. There is a style of video sales letter that's used on the internet where it is mostly just black text on a white screen, maybe a few little clip art images added for variety, but some people say that they still really like those. It's not my choice, but other people still like to use those. So that has its own style. And even if you're doing on-camera videos too, there are different issues to look at there in terms of how formal is it, what kind of background do you have. That can affect the style too. And then your video topics you need to look at. What is it that you're going to do a video about? Really the most important thing that you want to look at there is, what is it that your audience wants to know? What problem are they struggling with that you can help them solve and that you can talk about in a video? A good way to get started with looking at topics to use for videos is to make a list of the questions that you get asked most commonly, either by the clients you already have or by people who post questions on your website or on your Facebook page or on social media, maybe questions even that people ask you at a dinner party. What are the things that people want to know about your subject area that you are an expert in and that relates to your business? If you start making a list of those, and then you can go down the list and maybe prioritize either based on which ones you think are most important, that people are most interested in, or maybe start with the ones that are the easiest for you to talk about, and you can start with those for your first videos. And again, that's whether you're doing it on camera or creating an animated video. That doesn't really matter. You might find one style is more suited to a particular topic than another, but that's, again, all part of the strategy that you have to look at. So when we're looking at video goals and creating a video strategy, you really want to think of it on two levels. One is you need an overall strategy of how you're going to use video to grow your business. But some of this has to be looked at really for each video that you're going to make. You don't need to make a huge planning ordeal out of it for each video, but each time you're going to make a video, you need to be clear about what your topic is. You need to be clear about what you want that video to accomplish. What is it that you're going to want people to do after they watch the video, right? What's the goal of the video? Is it to get them to opt in to a squeeze page where they can download a free report from you to grow your email list? Or is the goal for that particular video that you want people to share it? You know, maybe it's a piece of your content that you're answering some questions that people often have, and maybe your goal is just to get viewers to share it and expand your reach. Or maybe it's a video sales letter where you're going to be asking people to purchase something at the end. Each video is going to have its own goals, and if you're not clear about what you're trying to accomplish, then your video is probably not going to succeed at reaching that goal. One other thing we have to consider in terms of setting a video strategy is the difference between strategy and execution. We know that both of them are important, right? But which one do you think has to come first? You really have to have the strategy first, right? You can't execute unless you know what you're trying to execute. You can, you're just not going to be very successful at it. It's up to luck at that point. Maybe you just go start making a video because you think you need to have video out there. If you're not clear about what you're trying to accomplish with it, the chances are not very good that you're going to actually accomplish that. So by being clear up front with your strategy, then that makes it easier to put a plan of execution into place. What are the steps I need to take to move me in the right direction for a strategy of success? Before we wrap up here with this, let's look at what are some of the obstacles that might at this point be stopping you from using video to grow your business, or from using it more regularly if you have done some. If you're like most people that have been on my Hangouts, you definitely have some obstacles. We all have reasons why we don't make more videos than we currently do. And if you haven't started using video at all, then you probably have multiple obstacles that are stopping you. So let's look at what some of the most common obstacles are. One is that maybe you think video is expensive. Early on in the session, I had talked about some ways that could be expensive. If you're going to go buy a video camera and buy a tripod and buy lights to set up in your home studio where you're going to record videos, maybe you buy a green screen, and yeah, all of that stuff adds up. It can be very expensive. But the good news is you don't have to do it that way. It doesn't have to cost much at all. Maybe you think it's complicated. Some of the things I just mentioned, using a green screen or knowing how to set up the lights, that can be complicated. Or some of the software that people use for video, like one of the really popular ones is called After Effects. That has a pretty steep learning curve, but you don't need to use that. There are inexpensive and easy to learn software programs. You can record a video with your smartphone, which you already know how to use, right? So just by learning a few simple tips about how to get good lighting for that, it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. Now, what if you really, really, really don't want to be on camera? Well, the good news is there are other options that I mentioned before that you can create a video without ever being on camera. Now, do I recommend that you do that all the time? No, because your audience, your prospects would like to see you on camera so they know who you are, they can start to get a better sense of knowing you, and they can develop more trust in you when they can see you. That doesn't mean you need to do a whole video on camera. But if you can be on the video at the beginning to introduce it, and then splice that little intro clip at the beginning of a software video, that makes a perfectly good option. And that doesn't have to be an expensive or complicated process either to do that. Again, if you really, really don't want to be on, you don't have to, but recommended that you try and get used to just doing a little bit on camera at least. And then also play with some of the other options with software video. A response that I often get from people is they haven't really started using video yet because they just don't know how to get started. There are a lot of things involved, like we've just been through, different choices that you have to consider in order to really do it well. People haven't done that because it just feels a little overwhelming to many people to really even just know what to do. So that's where some help can be a good thing so that it's less overwhelming. So just to remind you here, we said 60% of the data going around the internet is already in video form, and the prediction is that that's going to grow to 90% very soon. So how are you going to make sure that you don't get left behind? I just threw a bunch of different things at you to consider in terms of strategy. One thing I'm going to offer you as a way to help is I have a free strategy guide. I'm going to post the link here. And if you see that button there for a free guide, Getting Started with Video, you can download that. If you're watching the recording, you can pause the video for a minute while you go do that. Or just save the website open and finish downloading it later. That's an option too, because I have more to offer you as well. So I'm guessing that probably some of you watching this are feeling a little overwhelmed by all those things that you have to do to get a video strategy in place and start using video. What if I could make it easier for you? What if I could help you make those decisions about what to do for your situation and help you actually figure out the easiest and most affordable way for you to start using video? Would that help you know how to get started? I think it would, because you actually can learn how to get started with video easily and affordably. You don't need fancy equipment. What I'm going to have to offer is a 4-week video strategy planning and implementation group. It's 4 Google Hangout sessions, so the whole thing will last 4 weeks, 1 session per week. And here are the topics we're going to cover. In the first week, we're going to talk about clarifying the message that you want to share on your videos. What is the main message really of your business? What is it that you need people to understand before they are going to want to purchase from you, whether it's a product or a service? What do they need to know and feel in order to want to hire you? That's what we're looking at with the message here. And you need to know how to share that in a very clear and concise way so that people will be ready to take action. Another part of that is to be able to articulate your USP, your unique selling proposition, or some people prefer to call it your unique value proposition. What that really means is, what is it that makes you and your business unique? Why should people do business with you as opposed to any of your competitors? And that sometimes is important to get across in your videos as well. So this first session, we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can clarify the message and the USP or UVP so that you have that all written out and ready to include in the text of your videos as you make them. Now, you may need to tweak it a little bit depending on the topic of a video. In the second week, we're going to go over some of the things that I talked about tonight, but in much more detail, talking about different types of video and different goals that you might have for video, different ways of creating video, and particularly important, we're going to look at how you can choose the best approaches to meet the needs for your business. So hopefully you'll leave that webinar, that hangout, ready to go home and really think that through and make a decision for yourself of, okay, this is what feels easiest for me to get started, so I'm going to use this method of making videos, and now I'm ready to start. The third week, we're going to look at how to plan a storyboard and a script for your video. Now, the storyboard is more important for a software-based video, but even for an on-camera video, you need to have some sense of a storyboard. You may want to show a prop in your hands while you're talking about whatever the topic is for that video to add a little bit of visual interest. You'll want that to be planned out in the storyboard. Maybe you're going to demonstrate something with your hands during the video, or maybe you're going to write something on a whiteboard during the video. There may be a lot of different things that you could try for different videos to add visual interest, and that all gets planned out in the storyboard. If it's online, then of course, this picture is going to come in here, and then maybe this animated character walks across the screen, or maybe I zoom in on this picture. That's all part of the planning of the storyboard, and the storyboard goes along very closely with the script. In fact, I usually write my script out in one column of my storyboard, so I'll show you that technique. The script is the narration of what I'm going to say during the video. Now, an option, of course, is to hire somebody else to do the narration, but you still need to have a script for them to read from. So the script is going to be the spoken part of the video. And, some people have a little concern about that word script. They think it's going to sound too formal or kind of rigid and boring. But a script really is just the words that you're going to say. It's better to have planned ahead what you're going to say than to just turn on the camera and start talking off the top of your head. You're going to do a lot more rambling. You're going to do a lot more umming and ahhing and repeating yourself, and you may not even get to what you thought was the most important thing, because it just becomes very, very rambling and chaotic if you don't have a script of what you're going to do. In fact, if you're winging it on your videos, you're going to get wing it results because you haven't made a plan of how you're going to accomplish what you want to for that video. And the script is a very important part of getting what you want out of that video. Our final week, we're going to review what we've covered in those 3 weeks, see if there are any other things that are keeping you from finishing that video that you've at least started creating the storyboard and script for. Maybe you've also started creating the video by that point. But if you haven't started, what are the things, is there anything that's holding you back, anything that's not clear yet about how to move forward with it? We'll just have a general Q&A session and discussion session during that hangout. And during that 4 weeks, I'll be sharing other materials with you and some other bonuses, just a surprise as we go along. You will have some tasks to work on during the week in between the sessions. You're going to use the questions in the strategy guide to start writing out some things about your business, about how you want to use video to help you come to those decisions about really what is the best method for you right now and what is it that you want to accomplish with your video. Is it for lead generation, or is it to build your mailing list, or is it to sell a product, or is it to deliver a service online? That's a part of what you need to figure out when you get ready to make that video. And again, part of that will be clarifying your message and your USP and deciding on your goals for the video. And like I said, by the end of this series, you should have at least be started on your first video, and some of you will probably even finish it. Another thing you will get as part of the training series is a private Facebook group where you can support each other, and I'll be in and out of the group as well, offering support and answering questions. It'll also be a great way for you to encourage each other and get encouragement for what you're doing. You can bounce ideas off of each other, see what people think sounds most interesting. If you're not sure which video to do, people can give you some feedback on that. You may even decide to hook up with somebody as an accountability partner to really make sure that you get your videos done. It can also be a great place for you to develop some joint venture relationships to, if nothing else, help support each other once your video is done in sharing it on social media. If you post a video and then your other friends in the Facebook group all share it on their Facebook page, and then when they post their videos, you can do the same thing for them. That helps you get more exposure for your videos. Some options that you'll have available if you would like to get your strategy reviewed, I can do that for you either on a Hangout or in the Facebook group, and you can get feedback from the other members as well. If you have some existing videos that you would like feedback on, I am available to do that as well. Again, it could be in the Facebook group or on one of the Hangout sessions. And if you want accountability for completing your first video, again, like I suggested, that you may want to find an accountability partner in the group to make that happen for yourself. So the dates for this series, it's going to be Thursday evenings, starting August 21st, and then August 28th, September 4th, and September 11th. The time you can see there on the screen is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Each of the sessions will be recorded, and you'll have access to those recordings indefinitely. They'll be private access, so only if you're a paid member of the group will you be able to see them. And I have some bonuses for you to persuade you to join up tonight, and the cost is going to be so low, I think you're going to be quite surprised. One of the things I'll provide to you is written instructions for setting up your YouTube channel if you have not done that yet. Even if you have done it, you might want to go through these instructions and make sure that you've done all of the things that I've suggested on there. There are some advanced techniques, even not advanced in the sense of being hard, but there's some things that many people don't know about that you can do in your YouTube settings, in your channel settings, things that will, for instance, allow you to create a custom thumbnail to show for your video in the listings on YouTube. That can be very helpful instead of just relying on whatever YouTube chooses out of your video, which could be something where you're making a face or you have your eyes closed or something, So by making these certain changes in your channel, you can have the ability to choose your own customized thumbnail for your videos. And another reason why you want to do this setup is to make sure that you have your YouTube channel connected with a Google Plus account, and that's going to allow you to participate live during the Hangout sessions that are part of this training. So instead of just having to type in the chat if you have a question, you'll be able to get live on the Hangout and, using a headset microphone, be able to ask a question right in the live session. I also have two bonuses that I'm going to offer you. One is a free graphic design for your YouTube header. If you don't have that yet, then you won't have to worry about that. And you may have noticed that that's kind of an odd shape for that YouTube header. So if you're trying to do it on your own, it can be a little tricky. I have a software program that lets me design those in just the right size. So if you have a logo or something that you want included, you can send that to me and I'll put it in the header and make a nice design for your YouTube header. And similarly, I'll create a free lower third graphic for you. The lower third is that little strip of information that'll show up near the bottom of the video, kind of like what they will have on a news program. They have it's basically just a shape that comes up across the bottom that has a person's name, and sometimes it'll say, their title or the name of their company or something like that. So I'll create that for you, and you can use it in your videos. And it's also very helpful if you're going to be in a live part of a Hangout, because then that identifies you to the other people that are watching the Hangout. And by the way, If you don't know this already, Hangouts are a great way to add to your video portfolio, because as soon as the Hangout is finished, it gets saved as a YouTube video. So that's one of the things that we'll talk about a little bit. It's probably not the easiest thing to get started with, but it's something you might think about for your long-range strategy. Another thing you'll have available during the course of the 4 weeks is if there are any of those tasks that you feel like you don't want to do yourself, you can hire me to do them at half of my normal price. During those 4 weeks, they'll be on half price sale. For instance, if you want me to set up your YouTube channel, I can do that for you. Or if you want me to write the storyboard and script, I can do that with some input from you. Or if you have video editing that needs to be done after you record your video, maybe you want a section taken out or something like that, I can do that for you as well. And again, if you're interested in that as the course goes on, let me know, and I'll let you know what the pricing is at that point. So for those that are interested in getting started and being part of this brand new training to define your video strategy, I have a very special price of only $37 for the whole course. That's less than $10 per week, and you're going to be learning a lot of good information and getting at least started on your video, if not finished with it by the end of the 4 weeks. So it's a pretty reasonable price. I hope you'll agree. And it's not going to stay that low forever, just the first couple times I'm offering it. I want to get some interest and get people to provide some testimonials and some success stories. So I'll make it very, very enticing for you to join me this first round. Again, starting August 21st. And another very special bonus, you're going to get free access to repeat the course for 1 year. And I'm going to be offering it probably about every other month is my plan at this point. So if you get through the whole course and you learned a lot, but you feel like there's still some things you're not quite clear about, you would be welcome to participate again the next time I offer it, and there'll be no charge the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time if you want to take it that many times. So are you finally ready to start using video? Are you ready to define your video strategy of how you're going to use video to grow your business? If you are, I hope you're going to join me for this 4-week Hangout series. And I'm going to post the description over here on the side. So if you would like to move forward at this point, there's a yellow button on the side there that you should be able to click to register for the program. If you have any problems with that, I'm also going to share the email address. You can contact me. That's video@presentationswithresults.com. If you would like to move forward, just click on the Sign Up Today button. And again, only $37 for that special founder's price. I hope you'll join us, and thank you so much for watching the replay of this Hangout webinar.